Welcome to our May 12th program, Marina Abramović in dialogue with Michael Klein. And before we begin, a brief introduction of ATOA, founded in 1974, Artists Talk Art, is the longest running forum of its kind. Over the years, we have hosted more than 1,200 events, featuring over 9,000 artists, writers, curators, critics, and educators. All our programs are recorded and accessible on our YouTube channel. Earlier recordings, more than 12,000, are housed at the Archive of American Art at the Smithsonian. Now, tonight's speakers. Marina Abramović is widely regarded as a central figure in the evolution of performance art. For over 5 decades, her work has examined endurance, risk, presence, and the dynamic between performer and audience. Born in Belgrade in 1946, she has continually challenged the limits of what performance can be. Michael Klein is an independent curator and art advisor. He works with artists, estates, institutions, and collectors, shaping exhibitions and building collections across a wide range of practices. He brings a thoughtful, experienced perspective to tonight's dialogue. We're pleased to host this exchange between the two people who have shaped and observed contemporary art over many years. And over to you, Michael.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and I'm glad you could join us. And Marina, thank you. I know you're busy running around the world all the time, and I'm glad you're here and we can talk. On a personal note, Marina and I go back many, many, many years. I was an early fan, early supporter. In my gallery, we presented the work of Ulay and Marina, Polaroids, and all sorts of other works. So this is very personal because it's not only interviewing an artist, but also interviewing a friend. But there are questions that I've never really asked Marina, or maybe I asked them years ago and I don't remember. Marina, what got you into performance? Of all the things to do, what was the decision to do that?
Wait, before all this, can I say something about you?
Yeah, please.
All right. So you just made the mathematics. How many years we know each other?
43.
This is unbelievable. This half century almost, you know.
Right. Exactly.
I really have a question before we start anything. You know, I really consider you really visionary because time you was a young person. But how you know to actually look into the artist and art that really will make some kind of contribution to society?
I
Wait,
decided that that was,
let me finish the question.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, how you can have this kind of sixth sense or intuition, because, you know, when you really met Ulay and me, we was nowhere, you know, we was just beginning of the beginning, and there was no any kind of, you know, career yet in front of us. And also many other artists from Pat Steele, and, you know, there's such a long list. And they're really the people in the beginning of the career. So you didn't go for the stars that you want to present. You went to really young talent in the beginning of the stage. I want to know what kind of sixth sense intuition you had.
I've always had it, and I take it from my mother, whose job when she came to America, she worked for Lord and Taylor. And her job was to tell the fashion designers what was be the color for the next year.
But how she will know?
My mother was a witch. She knew. She just knew. And she made a living like that. She made design decisions and she also made hats. That was her career when she came to America. And she did that for 2 or 3 years. And then she got married and the rest is history. I think that witchiness is in me because I can go into a room, and I've always felt this, and a lot of people can say blah, 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 and I'll point to the artist that I think is going to actually have a career and go someplace. I have always been right. And it's not like I brag about it, but if you go through the list of artists who I've worked with over the last 40 years, everyone's in the history books. I mean, no one.
There's nothing wrong. You didn't make one mistake, which is incredible.
I made some mistakes, but I didn't miss. It wasn't a mistake of like I missed out on an artist. But when I chose somebody, I really feel very strongly about their work, and I think you make a commitment. It's why I got involved, because it was an opportunity to actually be engaged in the work and be engaged in the life. I mean, you and Ulay and I met. We spent a summer together, traveling together, learning about each other, and then we started to work together. And
That's
this was true with everybody. Pat Steer introduced me to you. I remember distinctly. I'd gone to Amsterdam to see Pat because she was getting married. She was going to eventually marry Joost, and she had a studio there. And we went over, and she said she wanted me to meet you guys. And I remember going to your studio and walking in, and there was a beautiful, big color photograph of you and Ulay tango or one of the performances. And I went, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And you didn't, no one had to tell me anything. No one had to explain to me. No one had to, I just got it. I just
and
absolutely got it.
But I really like to turn this more in conversation than questions. So I want to ask you something more. You know,
Okay.
so it's really interesting thing about this whole story is that in that time, the performance was nobody territory. There was actually, very rarely, being active anywhere. There was not in the museums, there was not in my galleries, there was nothing. And there was really in the kind of underground scenes. And sometimes, we will be a group of people in the studio perform, and then other people come and see. So the thing is that actually the idea that art actually can go into the gallery and also be sold, this is so abstract for me. I never even crossed my mind at that time.
Right,
It was
right.
unthinkable. We was always doing other jobs to survive ourselves.
Sure.
In
I
the
remember.
time
I remember.
in the
Yeah.
time of 70s, you remember the musicians who always drive the taxis, and the artists who work in the galleries, and the dancers in the bars. I mean, and most of the time, in my entire life, till actually, till I was 65, I was teaching. I was always teaching, and the main income was the teaching that you can pay
Right,
the bills.
right,
Because I
right,
never wanted to compromise to anything,
right. Sure.
really to
Yeah.
market,
Yeah.
because the moment you compromise the market, you lose kind of this authenticity. You actually
You
start.
lose the authenticity, which is what I'm driving, which is what grabs me and gets me going. It's that authenticity. It's inexplicable. You either have it or you don't have it. And we are, in a heavily market-driven art world right now, which is very unfortunate. But people have to make a living. Unfortunately, I don't see people after that authenticity and really trying to open new doors and really finding an interesting talent. And
But it's always you can always make livings. The question how
right,
and what you give for, that
right,
are you selling the soul to make the living? Are you repeating yourself? Are you just completely lost the different ideas
right.
because you're just having the market waiting and want only one type of products? That's really disaster. And when I read the book that really touched me a lot in that time, you remember little book of Patti Smith, Just the Kids?
No,
And
I don't know that. I didn't know that.
she
Yeah.
really talk about that period of 70s when nobody had any money, and Marpeton was working and all these artists was working, and Matthew Clark. I mean everybody, it was really the period of incredible much
Well, it's
inspiration.
funny you should mention that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but actually, I have a publisher in Italy because I have a book that I'm working on called All Over Town, the New York art scene in the 70s, because no one has talked about that incredible time. This is when I came into the art world, and everything was about art and meeting artists and talking to artists, and it was an extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary time. And Soho was this amazing place to be. The energy was wild. I mean, Saturday afternoon in Soho at the openings was just amazing. You had crowds of people coming to see all sorts of work, but also great work. It wasn't just,
Yeah, yeah.
designer things. It was really amazing, amazing work. I mean, I remember there are distinct shows I remember. For example, when Warhol did a show of the hammer and sickle paintings at Castelli, I wandered around with my mouth open because I thought they were amazing, absolutely amazing.
No, there was so, and I don't know what really happened. Some kind of hell happened. I mean, we're living in really the most difficult time of human history right now. So now, what is your question?
Yeah, let me go back to the question. So the question is, um, my first question was, what got you excited about performance? What made you decide that you were going to use yourself as both subject and object?
First of all, when I really was a child, already as a kid, I was always painting, drawing, and do things. And I remember, I got a little tiny studio, and all what I was doing, I was going to sleep, I was dreaming the dreams, and then in the morning I would paint them. And I had
Wow.
such a big, vivid color dreams, so
Right.
kind of easy.
Right.
And
Right.
this was going on, and I remember my first exhibition was age 14, and I remember being jealous on Mozart because he started with 7, and I was too late already. And then, I went to the academy, I went post-diploma, and then all of the study, which normally, art students do till finishing. And then, the thing with that I remember different periods in my painting. And in one period, before I start performance, I was just painting the sky with the clouds, but not the Magritte type of clouds, different. I had this kind of theory of the clouds coming, the clouds the hitting the earth, the black shadows, the projection of the clouds of human body, and so on and so on. And I remember lying just in the grass somewhere out on the park in Belgrade, and I look at this blue sky, and there came 12 military planes, really like,
Wow.
ultrasonic, wah, 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 and they made these lines in the sky.
Right. Right.
And this, I look and I see the drawing, and I see disappearance of the drawing and the blue sky again. I never went to studio after that. This was kind of
Wow.
revelation.
Wow.
I
Wow.
really understood that why I have to make something two-dimensional when I can work with fire, water, my body, the blood become the body become the canvas, the blood become the color, and so on and so on. I didn't have a connection with anything with the body art in that time that is happening in the world, because we didn't
Right.
have, it was communist. We didn't have this kind of
Right.
education.
Right.
And then I remember when I went to the military base and asked for 12 planes to make the drawings. And they called the father and say, father, can you take your daughter away because she's crazy? You know how much cost this? And they sent me home. But then I didn't give up. Then I said, okay, what if I could start working with the sound? Because for me, the beginning of my career was sound. And through
Right.
sound, I came to the actually performance. And it was so interesting. The idea of sound was like, how if I can put the speakers on the bridge with the sound bridge collapsing, and you're standing on the bridge, and you see visually bridge is there, but sound don't exist. The kind,
Wow.
very conceptual, the idea
Right.
to go to city mayor again to ask for permission. They said to me, with vibration, actually the bridge can really fall down. So they send me, so then they send me home. So I was not positive. And and then I say, okay, I'm not give up. So I put the speakers in the building when I was leaving. And everybody who's living in the building ran out thinking it was earthquake or bombing. And I had a huge trouble with the family and everybody else, my neighbors. So I could not do that. But then slowly, I really understand. I was very timid. I could never even walk on the street. I had a very low the estimate of my body. I felt so
Right.
ugly when I was young. I really was very tall as a child. They called me giraffe. I had the really bad glasses, but communist thick frames where I tried to break all the time. Yeah, sit on them, put them between window or whatever. And then after that, I also have a huge nose. And this nose was of the baby face, so I look really, really bad. I always want to have Brigitte Bardot nose, but that's another story. And then, and then I orthopedic shoes because I have flat feet, but orthopedic shoes was again communist. So the orthopedic shoes are really heavy leather. And then my mother falsified them like a horse to put a little metal in the front and the back so they don't get ruined so fast. So everybody can hear me walking. So I hardly wanted to walk. Then that moment when I say, okay, I'm going to do something in the front of the public, then magic happened. I didn't care how I look like. I didn't care if I
Right.
was fat or ugly or old or naked or whatever. I really understood, which is so for me important to present the concept. Concept was everything, and I am just the tool
Vehicle. Yeah, the
to
vehicle
them.
for the concept. Yeah.
And then the energy of the public and my own energy was electricity. I could never go back to the normal anymore. Performance becomes something like a part of my life.
And when and where did you meet Ulay?
I met Tula in Amsterdam. I got on my birthday, and my birthday, wait, sorry,
Yeah. Yeah.
wait. I got a telegram. This is time of telegram, my dear. I got a telegram that I should be on my birthday on 30 November, exactly in Amsterdam, because they're filming something about body art. And only from East Europe I was invited, whether it was Vito Conci, it was Gina Pane, it was Chris Burden, many different artists which I never knew, never met. And this was 1974. And my grandmother, she doesn't know what I'm doing. She looked at me and she said, everything come to your birthday is destiny. So I took the plane.
Wow.
I went to, actually went, it's no plane, sorry. Second class train. I'm so sorry. Second class train. So I
Right.
get to Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam they made there was filming, and one of the performers was also like was doing something. And then on the end of the of this of the filming that evening, everybody went to the kind of Turkish restaurant to celebrate ending of the film. And I say, can I offer everybody drink because it's my birthday? And he stand up and say, can I offer everybody drink because it's my birthday? I said, don't trust you.
Wow.
Then he took from his diary exactly 30 November torn out, and I have my diary, and I hate my birthday so much. I always take my diary out, and I say we have two identical proofs. He have his reason, I have my reason. But when I met him at that time in Amsterdam, he had a half face with the long hair and full makeup, and other half shaved and short hair,
Right. Right.
and and was like an unshaved. It was like what? I never saw anybody half man, half woman at that time. This was
Right.
fascinating for me. And the same evening we fall in love, and then it's history. Literally same day, same evening. And 10 days later, I have to leave to Amsterdam, from Amsterdam to Belgrade.
And then when did you go back to Amsterdam? Because it was about, it was 9 years later that I met both of you. But when you fell in love, did you both decide at that moment that you could collaborate and work together? Or
No,
was
no, no, no. I went back to Belgrade and I was really lovesick. And I remember it was the old Buckley telephone. I was calling every day. My mother got the bill and she put the telephone into the cupboard so I could call. And then we write each other letters. And after 3 months, we decide that we go to meet exactly in geographical middle, Prague, in Czechoslovakia.
I kind of remember that story. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Half between Amsterdam and half between Belgrade. And we actually stayed there for months and decided we're going to live and work together. Then I went back to Amsterdam, back to Belgrade, and then I escaped home. I literally took only my portfolio with my negatives, no clothes, nothing at all. And I came, my mother went to police and say, I was 29, but it's complicated to explain to Americans. I still was not allowed to go after 10 in the evening anywhere I stay home. We didn't have, we could not be independent at all. We didn't have a
Right. Sure.
to live with the families with 5 generations. So she went to the police and she said that I kind of disappeared. And they say, but how old is she? And they say 29. And they say, Comrade Abramović, we have better things to do. Please, it's about time. And that's the end of the story. And then we live in Amsterdam for about a year. And then we took the car and from the second hand from the French police, old Citroën, and painted black. And then we lived for 5 years in this car, traveling around, washing ourselves on gasoline stations. This was like a dream life because we no compromise. We never had any money. We have to milk the goats in Sardinia or whatever. People give us the food, and we borrow in the mineral bottles gasoline for the station. But then we had we've called from mobile from no from the sorry the stable from the phone from the anywhere with the coins, and to say we had a little shoebox in Amsterdam in the Apple Gallery, and the shoebox people there was only others that people can send us invitations, so we will call like once in 2 weeks if there's anywhere to go, and then
Right.
tell us the performance here, the performance there, and then we would travel. This was the most incredible balance and kind of intense life in my
And
really
you
my
did that for 5 years.
That's 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, because and so that brings you 1974, 1979. So yeah, because we met in 82, I think, 80, around 82, 82, yeah.
Yeah.
And you were living in a loft. I can't remember. I don't exactly.
It was the package district loft, but it was so low and all I so tall. We have to
Right.
put all the furniture on the ground because we couldn't stand up. Oh my God. I was,
And the loft was Alba.
and Alba was incredibly important. Right now
Alba, by the way, everybody was the dog. The dog was amazing. The dog Alba was just, astounding.
I dedicated my entire book to Alba. My mother didn't talk to me 3 months. Literally when Alba died. But the dog was more than dog for me. It was special. But
Very,
anyway,
very
it
special. Yeah.
was two of us and dog. And now somebody's making the movie. We are, I mean, in that period, when we was in that period, 29 to 35, and it's only this period, only road movie, only living in the car.
Wow. Who's
So
doing the movie?
is going to, yes, we just finished the script, so it's still in
So
progress.
will it be available? Will it be in? It won't be in the exhibition next year.
No, it's too
Okay.
early. No, it's not
So let me
possible.
just mention that in 2026, Museum in Ljubljana is doing a show called Art Vital. It's a kind of overview of the 12-year collaboration between Ula and Marina. I was very happy to offer an essay for the catalog.
2026 is now.
26 is next year
Yeah, but the show is opening this year, 30 November.
of 2025.
Yeah,
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay, I'm
yeah, 2025, this year, exactly on our birthday. And
Oh
Ulay had
wow,
a very bad cancer, and 4 years ago he died.
he died. Yeah,
Our first show that actually showed together work for 12 years. And
yeah.
Michael Klein is collaborating for that show is very important in writing text because he really knows us from the beginning of the beginning of the beginning.
From
And
the
he
beginning of the beginning, and it was it was an amazing collaboration. I mean, it was really for me. It was very profound, but also I was much younger, and all these relationships that I was developing with all these artists were extremely important. I was really getting a lot out of it. Um, it was great to sell work and to place work and to organize exhibitions, but there's something remarkably creative to collaborate with an artist and to be promoting the work and getting things to happen. I mean, for example, can we put up I don't remember the order of the photographs that I sent in, Chennie. I'm sorry. Should have made a list. Can we get the first one up?
No worries.
Absolutely.
But the friendship was really important.
Yeah.
So that's the
So
tango.
this is the photograph that I saw when I came to his studio, but it was very big. I don't know where it is now. And this is from a performance called Night Sea Crossing.
No, no.
This is Tango is the subtitle.
It's called Similar Illusion, but basically, this photo is a performance where we stand in this position for 3 hours and this playing in a loop tango, jealousy tango, and we are never moving, we never dance. The only because of blood pressure, very, very slowly, our hands went down, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This was what I
And
saw in your
that's
studio.
black
Yeah,
and red. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The next image, please.
Mhm.
This is about, oh yeah, but that piece is from 1970. No, what did you remember the year of that? I can't remember.
Wow. Don't ask me.
Okay. And this is part of the whole Polaroid series. Um,
But tell us a little bit of the to the audience because you are the one who really make sure that we got the grant in Boston and all of this. You
well,
know,
we had first of all, you were invited to work with the Polaroid, the room-size Polaroid camera at in Cambridge. And you went to Cambridge and you worked on large life-size Polaroids. They had done a number of them with Chuck Close and various artists, and you were invited to do this. And then there was also the 2024 camera, which is what this series is part of. And then my job was to get more projects going, and you did a big project at MIT, a series of photographs. This was a little bit later. Can we go to the next image?
Of course.
Yeah, this was a wonderful catalog that had been published by the Stedelijk Museum,
Vanavond,
Van Abbe
vanavond
Museum.
is there, yeah, in
Yeah, Modus Vivendi, and it really sort of documents a lot of the early performances. And if anybody is interested in performance, you can get a hold of this catalog. It's rather important with extraordinary imagery and very good text. And I think this and there. Okay, this is, I believe, uh, it's either MIT. I can't remember now. It's either
now,
MIT
now
or
is
was this London?
is in London in Tate.
At the Tate. Okay. There was a
But
show called New Art in Europe, and Ula and Marina were in that exhibition. And I remember coming to the opening, um, and these were beautiful. I don't have a color image of this, but these were beautiful color Polaroids.
but
And who?
can I just can I Michael,
Yeah, please, please, yeah,
can I just give a little bit of the background of this?
please, yeah, absolutely.
In MIT, it was first time to have this enormous camera, who is actually the room, and in
Right,
the room were two people. And you know, at that time, we as artists, the performance artists, we didn't make objects, we didn't make photographs, we didn't make anything. We were kind of compromised the idea of the time-based art, you know, as something which is immediate. But when
right,
we got into Polaroid, we understood the Polaroid have the like X-ray energy because the moment you stand in front of camera for a while and you press the button and comes the image, which is huge. They have two people to peel off, you know, it's enormous. And it don't exist anymore. There's only at that time. And then it was literally like X-ray of our energy. It was there because you know this was like we were making X-ray of the body. It was X-ray of Polaroid. So we didn't feel that we are compromising anything. And
right,
then also later on we work with video. The same thing. Video is something that you capture the movement, capture the light, capture the sound. There is a much better. So Polaroids and video was that important for us. And this is the first time actually in our history of our life that you actually put this on the market and sold this work because we didn't even know that exists.
exactly. That we could sell
Sell
it.
it.
We sold them. We sold them to museums, sold them to collectors, sold them to corporations.
Yeah.
Um, Oh, there, yeah, I want to go back. Can you go back one stop to that? Okay. This is the year. So Pat's in the dark outfit. There, Uli is on the right. Yost is on the left, and you're in the blue dress. And this is 1983.
That's here so beautiful. And yeah, yeah. This is so yeah. And this is probably in Amsterdam. And also
Yeah, this is in Amsterdam. This is because we were, yeah, because it's in Amsterdam because you see the radiators on the wall.
but
So,
when every time we will come to New York, the only place to stay is in your house because
right, you stayed at my house
there's
exactly.
no way
In
to stay
fact, I,
anywhere.
I I wrote about that in the essay to the catalog because I remember picking you guys up at the airport, and the only place to eat in my neighborhood was Burger King, and you were surprised, and Uli was horrified.
I I know.
It
And
really hurt his sensibility.
I remember that I never in my life tried McDonald's
Exactly.
and I
Yeah.
made a, like a kind of, you know, it was like like literally like a initiation what it means, Big Mac and French fries and big
Right.
wow. It was
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah. Next image, please. Yeah, so okay. And this I just found because it was bought, it's in the collection of the Progressive Insurance Company in Cleveland, Ohio. And the curator, Toby Lewis, was a big client of mine, and she bought this piece. And I love it because Marina is on the right and Ulay and the vase is on the left. And I love this whole vase series because it's really about a pair that works together. And there were many, many Polaroids like this, 2024s, some groups, some larger groups, beautiful, really, really beautiful series. And
Well,
people love
some of them we show now in the
it.
exhibition
Yeah,
academy, who is
yeah,
actually traveling touring 5 different museums.
yeah.
So it's opening in October. It's
October.
to open in Albertina
And
Museum.
where, so you have, I don't know where it's going then. Where's it after it opens in Louisiana? Where's it go? Do you know?
From Louisiana? What you
No,
mean?
no. Where's it going after Ljubljana, after the opening? Do you know where it's traveling to?
You mean the
The
roller
the,
climbing show?
the Art Vital show.
The art? Oh, I don't
You,
know.
oh,
This
you
is,
don't know. Okay.
I mean, it's really, it's the first time that the public going to see something of 12 years. And now we're inviting also directors of different museums if they want
Right.
the
Right.
show. So I
Right.
don't
Right.
yet.
You don't
I don't
have it then. Okay. Can we have the
know.
next image? Yeah. Back. One more. Another of the Polaroids. Venice.
So we
Yeah.
was really,
Oh, so let me ask a question about this because I think I never asked you this question. Can you blow up this? Go back to that image, please, of the
Sure.
the figures, the silhouettes.
Sure.
Who made them? Who made them? Were the masks something you made, something Ulay made, or you both
yeah,
made?
yeah. No, the idea was really the kind of mythology, Egyptian
Right,
mythology. So
right,
we were making these different images of different masks, and I have to stand for a while in the front to get this position. And
right.
the color red is really very strong color.
No,
And
it's a beautiful because it's black against a really, really beautiful deep red. Yeah,
And then vases became really important to us, very abstract objects. And why vases? Because there's a point when before we went to Greater China, we separate and we could not perform anymore. And we decided the actually build two vases who are exactly our body, one reflect light, one absorb. And then we start making also Polaroids of these vases, like a kind of the kind of X-ray of our relationship will become something different. You know.
right, right. And when I mean, it was sort of at the moment when you went to the wall and did the walk. Did you? I mean, you had decided you weren't going to work together anymore, correct?
The walk, the beginning took 8 years to ask for permission. China was
Right.
not,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and that 8 years, the Chinese would say yes, no, yes, no,
Right.
and we wanted to marry it when we walk each of us 2,500 kilometers to get in the middle, but actually. With the life goes different, and we was already, our relation was breaking. So when the Chinese finally say yes, we say we're not giving up. So we're going to walk, and then we will, meet and say goodbye. And I remember one American friend said to me, "Why you just didn't make phone call?" I
That's
mean, we
great.
missed the whole point.
Classic American. Exactly. No romance, just
And
classic.
then when we came out of that wall, we had steadily the first our show together, but
Right.
we didn't talk to each other. So we have two separate openings, two separate dinners, two press conferences, and two separate walks in two separate spaces. And it was such a hell to work with us.
Did you ever think, even after the breakup, that you could work together again?
He was thinking this, I didn't. I think it was,
Well, he's more of a romantic than you are.
I don't know because, he actually, when God, he cheated on me, and I didn't
Yeah,
want.
I know that. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So I had enough. I didn't want to go back. But he was thinking, okay, relation can, break, but work can continue, but not for me because relation work was all together.
Well, it's really about your relationship and about the intimacy of that relationship because it's really about the two of you working together simultaneously, always together. I mean, I remember one of my favorite expressions, you referred to each other as glue.
Yeah, glue, it was actually, glue. The two glue make one strong glue.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. And, I think we've run out of images. Any other image? I only gave a handful. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, that one.
Yeah. No, we've done them. We've done them all. We can go
Yeah.
on, but we're going to make everybody come to see the show in Ljubljana and buy the catalog.
Right.
but although,
So,
I think our conversation, we don't need to show much visual because conversation really is my life and we're talking about, and it's so much publications and so much internet with work already.
Hmm.
right, right,
So
right.
maybe,
Were there performances that you and Ulay had planned that you didn't realize?
wow, that's a good question.
I always ask good questions.
I don't know. It was so long ago. I think
I mean, when you did it, when you were planning a performance, did you make notes? Did you have a dialogue with it, or was it? I mean, how intuitive was it, or
everybody else who had ideas, and my answer is always the same. We both have ideas, and we all
yeah,
put ideas together, and we
yeah,
kind of melt them into one thing. And
yeah,
we was working with male-female energy, which we say they come to that kind of unity and become something called that self. It's not male,
right,
it's not female, but it's
right,
together. And really, in my kind of uh, image of that our relationship will be forever like this. So for me, it was very difficult, was falling apart because I didn't want to admit failure. And
Right.
many times, even the friends, for a few years, I didn't tell that actually it's falling apart. I was keeping secret. And then one point, it was impossible.
Right.
And we have to kind of, break. And then was the worst part of my life because, we worked together, we put two names together. Then I was 40. We split on Great Wall of China. And then I was left not just without my work, but I was also left without man I love. So it was like nowhere. It was
Right.
huge depression. And the
Right.
only thing that I did actually to go back to something that I was thinking I would never did do, go back to theater because theater I hated. As a performance artist, you don't like theater. But
Right.
then theater, you can stage your pain and share with the public, which I did, and actually, pretty much liberate me through lots of this trauma. The one thing with me is that everything I know secrets. Whatever happened in my life, I always create the work and share with everybody else and make it
Right.
easy.
Right.
And I
Right.
remember, especially after work with Bob Wilson, Life and Death of Marina Abramović, that one psychoanalyst came to my house, to my dressing room, and she said, "What you just done on the stage, you save yourself 25 years of very expensive work." Therapy.
Do you remember the last conversation you and I had before the end of the wall project? I
Uh,
was on the phone. I was on the phone with you in China. It was the
okay.
summer,
Yeah.
and you were on the phone. I don't know how long, and then we said goodbye. We'll see each other soon. Everything was fine, and I don't know what happened. I think I went away for 2 or 3 weeks. I came home, and there was a telephone bill from the telephone company for $2,000.
Oh my God. Oh my
And what
God.
happened was I called the phone company and I said, I think this is completely wrong because we hung up. And she said, no, no, it's our problem. It was our system didn't work properly. Don't worry about it. It's all okay. But I continued hoping that we would work together. And Ulay and I sort of split. We talked about working together independently. It never really came together. And then I went off after the gallery. I went off to Microsoft, and I was very busy with that collection and living on the West Coast, and it's a whole big change of life for me. When you went off on your own, did you have a kind of plan, or were you just really going to just test it out and see where things would happen?
No, I really was looking forward to find my own self and to
Right,
find a body of work. And the
right,
first thing I started doing is something transitory objects because I realized that the Great Wall of China public was not there. Always public is present, but not in this walk. So I realized that I would like to create objects with the different materials, crystals, minerals that actually public can experience that kind of energy I went through. And this came this big series of work, transitory objects, which actually I was not performing, public was performing. And
right.
slowly, I went back to my own performance work.
Talk about the. I don't have a picture, but it's something that it's a piece that I really like. Yeah, there you go. That I really like was the one of is it called the beach house where you're
That's three basic body positions, sitting, lying,
yeah,
standing.
yeah, right. Yeah.
This is all about really copper transforming energy and crystals. This is in the site-specific work in Tokyo. You know,
Right.
you just go and place your wall and place your head, heart, and stomach against till energy is transformed. And sometimes probably don't see anything, but just the actually people facing wall without knowing what's behind.
And
All of
have these objects been collected? Are they in collections, museums?
Yes, some
Yeah,
of them, yes.
yeah.
And I have very big show now in Shanghai, just opened 4 months ago, which is going to travel to Venice Biennale in Palazzo Esposizioni. So lots of this stuff are going to be there.
Great.
So that's all the projects came after the Wall of China. I work like hell. This is the thing what I done. After we split, I just work, work, work,
Well,
work.
yeah, you've been doing that now for 25 years. I mean, you haven't
Yeah,
stopped.
and I'm working still like hell. And
Yeah.
I'm never stopping.
These are beautiful. I think these are amazing pieces.
No. So this is, I made something for the human use and not human use. This is Aphrodite and her lovers, the not human use. That you can don't see them, but they're there. So I was thinking if something you make visible for something invisible, then invisible become visible. And this is, looking television, instead television crystal.
Very nice.
It's lots of stuff like this. This one not good picture. Go away. This is shoes for departure. I made these huge shoes, hugely heavy. You can't walk in them, but you can make mental departure. With the naked feet, you go in, and actually departure is mental, not physical.
Right.
They're very big amethyst pieces, block of amethyst.
Wow.
And then lots of times I work with in Brazil. The first image you see that was in Brazil, the one, that you just saw, the
Yeah.
one with the sky. I just lie there in the storm. So sometimes integrate myself, but mostly this was without. This is wounded geode. This geode, I found, and when I opened, came water out. It was wounded. It was 35 billion years old, and I drink it. I was thinking it was the purest water in the planet, but I got so sick. I always have to try all myself first. This is hematite, the mirror, but you actually just look to your soul, not the body. And then, the objects for non-human use, you have to actually clean them. So I have crystal broom and crystal brush because you can't clean them just normally, only
Right.
with the crystal. So this is brush. Look at the brush. Wait, go.
Yeah.
No, this is broom,
No broom.
but there is the brush. Oh, we don't have it. And then, never mind. And then
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
then I have these objects for spirit, very, very tall chair, small for human, and very tall for spirit. A spirit
Wow.
doesn't sit, you just look through the sky into your own
Oh.
spirit.
Oh.
This is PS1 in the
I was
front.
going to say it looks like PS1. Yeah.
Yeah. And so on and so on. No, we're going to now ask public what they really like to hear. Because I think the conversation never should go over 1 hour for reasons that have to be interesting and not boring in any point. And then I will finish all this with joke. So, any questions, please?
I have a question, Doug Shear. In the 60s, there were a bunch of early performance, two troupes I'm thinking of. One is the Living Theater, and the other is Pina Bausch and her troupe from Germany. And then there were a lot of individuals. I know that you know some of them: Chris Burden, Anna Mendieta, Charlotte Moorman, Carolee Schneemann, and Yoko Ono. Did any of them, do you consider any of them your comrades, peers, friends from the early 70s when you started to do performance? I think you started in 75 in New York anyway. Did you know or interact with some of those either troops or individuals?
No, for simple reason, I was living in Belgrade. It was very difficult to travel, and we didn't have much material. So most of the material we could get to know about these people is through the magazines. It was Art Forum at that time, Art in America, that we can really, and not always. And there was some, lots. There was Art Right, very small little underground magazine.
Right.
Always information was coming. Also, people bring something. And Chris
There was
Bird,
also Avalanche, which covered a lot of the performance.
Avalanche was wonderful. I have lots of numbers still.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I have contact with Scully Schliman, I have contact with Chris Burden, I contact, but all of them, there was never really to create friendship. You have to be in the same time in the same space, and I never was in the same time in the same space.
Right.
And really, the person who really was for me, very important that I met personally and spent some time together was John Cage. And
Uh-huh.
John Cage was extremely important in my life because he learned me about modesty, he learned me about simplicity, he learned me, I would sit in his kitchen, cut the garlic, and he would cook macrobiotic food, and the best stories was told there. And I learned a lot from him, and it was not easy. It was really also, I had to deal with so much of issues that I have to actually be against it in ex-Yugoslavia. I had to do some stuff that, burning Communist Star was a huge problem there, which doesn't mean anywhere else, but there really meant. So there was a specific work that I was dealing with my work, with my own history,
Mhm.
I remember going to see you,
Yoko
Eli,
met.
at John Cage studio on 8th Avenue, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
No, we celebrate birthday. He gave us the key.
Yeah.
And he was in Korea
Right.
and
Right. Yeah.
in Namju Pike. And
Right.
I remember he gave us the key and all have to give us this huge complicated instruction how to actually with a little tiny little drops given to different cactuses. And it was really a miracle because only one cactus blew once a year. And that evening, when it was our birthday, the
You
blue.
blew.
It's
That's
only
nice.
one night blue and then it's gone.
That's gone.
It was something like a good, incredible. We have some pictures of that birthday.
Yeah.
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 Could I ask a question? Marina, I have a question about your work in China. I'm from China, during a time before it is what it is now, which is quite commercial with highways and when you did your walking on the Great Wall, when you visited the Great Wall, and China had not been as developed economically than it is now. So what's it, since you have an exhibition now in Shanghai, I am from Shanghai actually. And so is there any difference, between the China then and the China now? Because to me, it's unrecognizable. When I go to China, they know immediately when I left it because my language, there's certain words that they just don't use anymore. So
It's a day and night. When I was in China, there was no cars. It was bicycle. There was nothing, literally nothing, and very simple. And everybody was walking in Mao Zedong uniforms. And it took us 8 years working with the government. It was so complicated, so unbelievable, unpredictable. And finally, when we made the wall and we went back, I didn't have no interaction with the Chinese government or China or anything. Much later, 25 years, I was trying to make a show in China. Red Factory, the power plant, a few museums, made a complete contract with me. And every time we submit to the government to actually give the permission, always will be refused because of nudity, because of communism, because of many different restrictions, still now. So the only way to get to China, it was with transitory objects. And the show I made now in Shanghai, is called, actually the title is Transforming Energy. And it's incredibly, actually, did you have a chance to see it?
no, unfortunately, but
So he's going to travel in a few different places, but it was like amazing that actually how it works and how young Chinese really tuned to my work and how much they knew. My biography, Walking Through the Walls, is translated in Chinese, Mandarin. And I was unbelievably impressed that young kids will, come to me, like kids come 14 years old and say to me, "You changed my life." How I can change his life? He's 14. But just this kind of incredible interest and I really talked to young generation there. And I was very, very, very happy with that show, really.
I have a question. When I look at your work, I can see sort of a relationship of like pain and healing. And I was wondering if you feel there is like a sort of an aim for like a process of healing, and if you think that that's more like solitary or if it's something you have to share with other people, or if you don't think that's in the work at all.
First of all, I hate pain.
Okay.
When I cut onion in the kitchen, if I cut myself, I cry. I don't like it. But this is very different in work because, human beings suffer from three things: suffering, the fear of pain, and temporality of their life. And this is expressed in everything, in music, in literature, in theater, in books, in paintings, everywhere. So all what I do, I stage these sections in the front of the public. So, and I am the subject and object of the work. And then showing them, if I can go through this in the front of them, I'm their mirror, then they can also have a courage to go through their life. And this is the whole idea. It's not about pleasure. It's not about, I'm now having the whole idea about the pain and suffering. And if you look at the old civilizations, all the rituals, going through the very difficult physical and really physical, the ceremonies, we are almost reaching the point of clinical dying. And why they're doing all this? In order to jump from one state of mind to another state of consciousness. And that's actually what is incredible about. And why I discovered in my now almost 6 years of career, 58, when I discovered that I found a form which is unbelievably important. Through all these performances, I realized the long duration work is the most important. When something is 8 hours and 2 months, 3 months, when long duration work would happen, you can't pretend, you can't play something else. You show your vulnerability, which connect to the public, and also the life and work become one, because it's not the division anymore. And that's something that my institute, that I have now in Greece, is teaching with the workshops and the website. You can see it. It's about really the Abramović method, the developmental Abramović method, how actually we can do this connection. The first thing I suggesting a detox of technology, at least for a period of time, in order to be able to connect. We are totally disconnected from everything. I mean, head, brain, stomach, mind, mess.
Thank you.
I would like
have a question.
May I?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I am Milanka, and I'm
Yeah.
really enjoying listening to you. One of my favorite works of yours is cleaning the house. Cleaning the house. And it's exactly what you are talking about right now. Did you have many travels in terms of this work? I mean,
Yes, the cleaning the house is something that I literally learned from every civilization. I spent 25 years with Tibetans. I spent 1 year living with Aborigines in Australia, shamans in Brazil. All of these places learned me so many things, how to deal with the body, not in Western way, but because we really have very little knowledge of all this, because we use telephone, but they use telepathy. Big difference, and cheap.
yes, yes.
I have a question. Hi, I'm an artist, Babs Reingold, and my question to you is the current political climate, not just in this country, but globally, where there seems to be this leaning towards right authoritarian types of governments and rule. Would you say that any of that is affecting your work and your thinking and your approach?
I don't know. I only know that, to me, I think that work, if you think artwork, have to have many layers of meaning. Political is definitely there, social, also the spiritual, also the predicting future, crossing or pushing the limits, all of that stuff. And I think my work is kind of complex. And every time, you have possibility which society needs one layer, they will discover one layer. There will be like one who say, oh my God, her work is political. Another one, yeah, it's against, is about communism. Third will say, no, it's about pain and suffering. So all of that is true. So all these layers are all in one work. And I think that the more layers you have, the work live longer. Because if it's only political, it's like newspaper. You read newspaper today, tomorrow is old. So you have to really see into layers.
But yeah, I guess I was thinking about because we're really going through a historical difficult time. And there's been other times that have been historical difficult times. And I was just wondering if you were noticing that there was any kind of thinking or change in your work because of that.
Of course, it's changing. You're breathing every day different. You can never wash the hands in the same river twice. Your cells are changing every 7 days, 7 minutes, 7 hours. All of that's true. But sometimes I need to reflect what's happening. I made something that, if you can look in BBC, YouTube, please look. I've been invited in Glastonbury, which is like Coachella. It's one of the biggest rock and roll concerts in England
England, yeah.
the last summer. And what I did, I get pyramid stage, and I asked public to make 7 minutes of complete silence. We are talking 275,000 people. Everybody said to me, "You're crazy." They drink all day long. They take drugs. They take mushrooms. They're there to listen to music. They will never do that, and you will be ridiculous. And you should see this video of what happened. It was like one of this magic stuff in my life that I will never forget. Because not only there are 7 minutes of silence, I also ask people to put their hands on the shoulders of a complete stranger and just send unconditional love. That's what we need right now. Only way to change the world is to change yourself. This is
But
great.
it's very interesting because the performances that you and Ulay did, the ones that I attended, the room, it was magic, it was hypnotic, and everyone was silent. And there was just, the audience was just captivated. It was just there. And the energy was amazing. And you kind of felt like you were part of something kind of amazing with other people, but not speaking. You just felt them around you. And that was what I found so amazing about. There's that one image of I have in my head of you and Ulay at the table, and behind him is a snake that's slowly curling up and kind of resting on him, next to him. And he doesn't flinch, he doesn't move. The snake is just mesmerized too. It was absolutely amazing. So I don't know if any of you had seen any of these performances many years ago, but they were I thought astounding.
But the performance art, this quality to be, if it's really okay and good, is incredibly emotional
Oh
because
God, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
like life energy, life
Yeah,
energy,
yeah.
and you have to be there to experience. Kids, last question.
If I may ask one question. Hi, Marina. My name is Ivy. I discovered your work when I was attending a workshop where both instructors they're a couple and they're very much in love. Their work sort of inspire each other. So when I was reading your memoir, also seeing the work that you created with Ulay, that sort of got me thinking, throughout the different connections you've had in your life, do you think as an artist or someone who wants to always have art at the center of their life, is having this artistic connection with someone important as a lover? When you have those connections, do you think it makes your work more alive? Do you don't have those connections? Do you?
Okay, this is the really good ending. I made my manifesto, and I specifically say 3 times to advise to the artist: never fall in love with another artist. Never. This is a huge mistake. I've done 3 times, 3 mistakes. Never again.
Could you elaborate?
I really don't want to be longer than 1 hour. To me, it's really important kind of timing that is intense and energetic and everything. Now I hope that Michael and me raise interest in my work. So Google, look.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Wait,
audience.
joke.
Oh,
Yeah.
joke. Here's the joke. Okay, good.
So first of all, His Holiness Dalai Lama always said, you have to open or finish with a joke. It's open the heart and then you tell the terrible truth. So this is funny joke, no opening the heart. Anyway, this is a performance joke. So how many performance artists you need to fix a light bulb? Really? The answer is, I don't know. I was there only 6 hours. And now, bye. I love you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Marina.
all very
so
much.
much.
Marina,
Thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Good evening. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Good
Thank you
night.
so much.
Sure.